Hey guys, we've talked about it previously, but it is time for my first ever shelf tour. Hey guys, if you are new here, welcome to the Book Path. I'm Nicole, and if this isn't your first rodeo, thanks for sticking around. If you've been watching my videos, you know I just recently did my library video, and at the same time that I was doing that, I thought it would be great to do my first ever shelf tour, just to kind of go over what is sitting on my shelves and what are some things that I recommend from my shelves. So, yes, I'm filming this the same day as I filmed kind of like some of the stuff for my library video. So same hat, same hair. Obviously, I didn't feel like doing my hair today, so we're going with that. But yeah, so without further ado, let's go ahead and hit the shelves to see what is on them. Okay, so starting up here at the top is a little bit of our classic and tributes. So The Ghost of Mrs. Muir is one of my favorite classic movies, and I had it originally set up to where I had the original book here, and then I actually had the movie. Both of these are actually a little different in plot, but absolutely fantastic. Highly recommend it. One of my favorite movies of all time, and definitely one of my favorite books that I've read. But lately I have had to go and hide this because one of my kiddos has a thing with DVDs and keeps getting into it and it keeps missing, so I've been having to hide this away. Also on this shelf is a new addition to my library, but an old addition to the family. This is the Sherlock Holmes Treasury. This was actually belonged to my late grandfather, and I have recently been able to acquire it, so it rests up here. There may or may not be another book joining it shortly from my grandparents as well, so they have a special place of honor here in my bookshelf to be treasured and read and shared with the family, and continue on for another generation or two. Next shelf down is we have our little doll that my mother had brought back from a trip in visiting my brother when he was studying abroad in Japan. And this is basically all of the physical arcs that I've kind of acquired over the years. Most of these are signed, but this is basically physical. A lot of the, I apologize if you hear crowing in the background. That would be Tori, the one that we're pretty sure at this point that Tori is in fact a boy, but Tori is chiming in to be part of this video. So if you hear the crowing, that is Tori. Just like that. But yes, so most of the arcs that I get are ebooks, but on occasion I do get a few physical, and so this is where they go. Getting down, I am on a little bit of a ladder right now. Getting down, we have basically I had gone to a local book event that had a lot of indie authors, and it was a great event, and these are kind of the books that I got from there. I have read these ones, and I've read the first book in this series, but I still have a lot to kind of conquer from that visit. This is really interesting. This is kind of like a strong girl mystery. But what's interesting is when you went to the event, you actually got this along with it. And if I can open it somehow, hard to do this one-handed. Oh, there we go, it slides. But basically inside here is a drive that has some extras for the book that was only given at the event. So it's going to be interesting when I read that to be able to have the added bonus. Next up, we have our Victoria Aveyard. I have not read anything by her, but I have acquired a lot of these books on sale, heard great things about them. So eventually I am going to have to do some sort of Victoria Aveyard video. I am missing the first book here because it is set away for our Reddit Fantasy Bingo, which is elsewhere. Next up, we have our Taran Matharu shelf. I think it's Taran Matharu. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing it. I was a huge fan of the Summoners series. This is fantastic. It is Pokemon meets Harry Potter meets
Lord of the Rings. It is just a fantastic read. It's mostly a middle grade to YA, but it was absolutely fantastic. Loved the characters, loved the dwarfs in this. I'm not usually a dwarf fan, but they were fantastic in this. So I did go ahead and pick up 2 books out of this series here, the Contender series. I am missing, I think it's book 2. So once I get book 2, I will have to read and do a video on this series. And I did pick up his recent, he just did a adult book. So I am going to have to go on it because, like I said, I loved his characters. I loved his writing. So highly recommend that. Next up, we have another themed shelf, which is our Nora Roberts shelf. I had read her Dragon Legacy and they were pretty decent. And then I did read this Fortune of Stars, which I really liked. So I do have the next 2 books in this series that I've got to get to. Plus the Key trilogy and the Cousins O'Dwyer trilogy that I've heard good things about. That looked really interesting. So I did want to check these out too. Got them on a good sale. So they're sitting there. Like, you're going to see there's a lot of series and things that I have to get through. So there's going to be a lot of different videos coming your way in the future. Down below here is kind of, this is a tribute to one of my favorite authors of all time. If you are looking for an author that writes with emotion and definitely targets a specific emotion with his books, then definitely check out Paulo Coelho. His most famous book that I was trying to get to in here is The Alchemist. If you can read 100 books in your life, this is definitely going to be one of the ones that I definitely highly recommend. Great story. No idea why this hasn't been made into like a major motion picture yet, but it's fantastic. And next to that, we have another one of my favorite authors, and that is Mitch Albom. 2 of his favorite books that I like are The 5 People You Meet in Heaven and Tuesdays with Morrie. Tuesdays with Morrie is based on a real professor that was basically passing, and in his last final days, he kind of had this heart-to-heart with one of his students, and it's just his words of wisdom, and it's definitely a fantastic book. Another one that is a highly recommend on my list is Stephen King's On Writing. This is his memoir and biography. I loved it. I think it's very simple in the way that it's written. It's very entertaining. Just to kind of see what he went through, because we obviously know him so much for the success that he's had. But this book really kind of breaks it down and just what he's kind of had to go through to get to that success. So back up on the ladder, and we have kind of, I'm starting to call this the hubby Lego shelf. These are all little things that the hubby has acquired for me, whether they were kits that I built or things that he built for me. We are a Lego family. So we do have my little Lego otter piece, because otters are one of my favorite animals. And then we have Wally and Eve. I am a huge Wally fan. So he got me the, I think these are the Brickheads Lego kits, and I built these ones. He also surprised me with this little Wally here, although I will say, to me, it looks a little bit more like Johnny 5, which I'm not going to pass up because I absolutely adore Johnny 5 as well. If you know who Johnny 5 is, then props to you. If not, go check out the Short Circuit movies. They are an older 80s movie, but if you love Wally, you will love Johnny 5. Speaking of 80s movies, last year for my birthday, the hubby built me out of Lego my favorite dragon of all time. This is, of course, Falkor from The Never Ending Story and some of the scenes. And yes, I will see if I can get it to move, but yes, it does actually move as well. So I did feature this in a video a long time ago, I think almost a year ago now, but Falkor sits prominently here on the shelf, and we also have our little I Love You Valentine's Day gift that we got. On the next shelf, we have our Zodiac Academy. I have read like 3 books out of this series. I'm looking to get back to it because I read the prequel series with Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac. Absolutely loved it. So I'm really curious to continue in that world. We also have the Game of Malice and Greed series, which is a newer series by the same authors, so looking to get to that. And we have Mokana. This is Black Mokana. This is from one of my favorite animes, X-Holic. And there are only 2 Mokanas, so eventually I will get White Mokana. But if you know, you know, this little guy is absolutely great. So Next up is a pretty empty shelf. When we moved everything down here, a lot of space was given, so we have a lot of space now to play with, but we have kind of our upcoming fantasy series and our larger paperbacks. So of course I have Dire Bound and the Ever King up here, which are fantastic. My little dragon candle that I have not lit, but I have had this since high school, so quite old there, but absolutely adore. I have my paperback, kind of fantasy, romantic-y shelf here, and just some of the books that I like there. Underneath that, we have our contemporary romance. I have most of my contemporary romance I've been reading through ebooks, so this is kind of a short shelf as well. Followed by, this is kind of my literary fiction classics, things like that. Highly recommend Circe and the Witch's Heart. Pachinko is good, but it is definitely bring a box of tissues for that one. And then we do have the kind of beginnings of a manga and graphic novel shelf. I'm not big on graphic novels. I'm more of manga, and sadly, I just don't really pay a lot for manga because I can read a book in like 30 minutes for that. So to pay full price for me, it's just not much. Plus the series that I really would like to get are more out of print, so they cost a lot more. So, but when I see it on sale, I will go and pick up a copy of what I see. Next up is my more spiritual self. This is a lot of my crystals, and this is my Lady of the Lake statue. This was also a gift from the hubby, I think like 2 years ago on my birthday. I will say he gives me some wonderful gifts on my birthday, lots of love. So, you know, big shout out to him. But yes, I do have some of my crystals here. There's more upstairs, but these are the ones that are kind of on showcase down here. Next, we have our Anna Huang shelf with the Twisted series here. Read all of these, loved them, starting to make my way through the kind of Kings of Sin series, if you will. Next up is another beloved series. This is one of my favorite short story books of all time. Magic by Moonlight, a witch summons a musketeer to protect her. And I read this as a teenager, absolutely loved it. Read it a few years back when I found it again, still absolutely loved it. So it gets a nice little favorite space here. I did read A Promise of Fire, absolutely loved it. So of course I picked up the next books in the series to continue with that series, but I loved that. We had this series here, The House of Ash and Shadow, which is one of the better YA fantasy stories that I've read. I definitely went and picked up. I'm definitely looking forward towards more books by this author because I really just enjoyed my time with the story and the writing and the characters. So really enjoyed that. And this series here is also from my high school days. It's one that's not very known. Highly, highly recommend it. Eyes Like Stars, beautiful, beautiful covers. And basically you have a young girl who grows up in a theater where they do a lot of Shakespearean plays, plus The Little Mermaid and a few others. And what nobody knows is that in this theater, the actors aren't really actors. They are, in fact, the real characters from these plays and from these beloved stories. And they just basically are doing their story on stage for everybody else, but the characters are real. And you have our main character who is torn between a romance between one of the pirates from The Little Mermaid and from Ariel from the Shakespeare's The Tempest. So there is a love triangle that kind of goes in there in a fantasy world when the main character discovers a specific magic gift that she has and goes on like a magical quest and journey. Highly recommend. Haven't really come across something similar to this in many years, but I can't recommend it enough. It was one of the better series and one of my more favorites of all time here. Next up, we have my Katie Roberts shelf, which honestly might have to find a new shelf because I have one or two books that I haven't read of hers yet that they will have to go on here as well. So this will be expanding, but we have the Dark Olympus series that I absolutely adore. Mafia fantasy take on Greek myths. Absolutely fantastic. And then the O'Malley family series, which is kind of more on your mafia style, kind of your family dynamics. And then some of her other fantasies, her pirates right here. So next up, we have our Scarlet St. Clair series. I do want to get the rest of the Hades and the Persephone series because I really, really was enjoying that. and a few of her other books as well. And then I also have my Elliot Rose books here. She does have a kind of more Western romance series that I haven't, I've read like 1 or 2 books in that one. And then she has the Port Macabre series as well, which I absolutely love. Your darker reverse harem, MMFM romances. Very, very, very spicy. Check trigger warnings, but absolutely loved the relationship dynamics in here. Down below, our last full shelf in this one is my Levenseller shelf. These are all Trisha Levenseller books. I have read Daughter of the Pirate King, and I have read Shadows Between Us. Loved the writing style, loved the storytelling. So, of course, found the others on sale as well. So I will have to do a Levenseller kind of video post and take care of those. On our next shelf is kind of another little heirlooms gift shelf, an heirloom, once again, from my late grandparents. A gift from the hubby when we started dating, because I just loved her outfit and was just like, loved it. This is my tribute to Beauty and the Beast rose that the hubby got me. And of course, a few dolls. This one, if you've watched my videos, this one I got because her name is Nicole, just like me. She's a little sporty girl. She comes from the Rainbow High series. And when I read her and her backstory, this is like me in doll form. So I had to go and get her. And then my mother gifted me this one here. And sadly, I can't remember her name, but she is from Rainbow High as well. And her focus of study is storytelling, which is why she has a sweatshirt that says Storybrooke. She also comes with like a book and a pen and all these one things, but she is a creative writing major in the story. So that's why she sits here on the shelf. Next up is we have our Romeo and Juliet. These are gifts from my brother because growing up, I was in the play Romeo and Juliet, and I had a friend who was obsessed with it. So yes, Romeo and Juliet, I do know. And of course, I am a fan of the Leonardo DiCaprio Claire Danes one. I thought it was beautifully done. But they sit over here on my JLA shelf here. From Blood and Ash, fantastic series, the prequel series. Haven't read this one yet, but like I said, I'm like collecting from my favorite authors. Just when I enjoy the characters and I enjoy the storytelling, I'm going to get more by the same author. So next up, these are all the books that I've read that are the hardcovers. So a few kind of missed in and out of there. Of course, we have Tyrion, who is my favorite character from Game of Thrones, and he was the one that I wanted on the throne, but of course, it didn't happen. Spoiler for anybody, but maybe the books are different. Who knows? We're still waiting on those. Underneath is definitely one of my another favorite YA fantasy series. This is the Wings series. Very interesting take on the Fae and the fairies and kind of like their mating and just a war that they have going on with, I think, trolls, but definitely this is a cleaner series. The Eyes Like Stars one is definitely clean as well, but I highly recommend if you have young readers at home who like kind of fantasy fairy worlds, then I definitely highly recommend this. This was actually wonderful with a little bit of a twist ending, so that was really good there. Then just continuing, we do have a few more of our hardcover books that we've read. You might see a few that you've read. Let me know in the comments below what you thought. And we have another shelf of more. And then down below here, this is kind of the shelf of series where, you know, we've all had them where you get books in the series and they either change the size of the book or one book in the series is a hardcover and the rest are paperback. So that's where I kind of put these ones just because they are going to be a little bit more janky and mismatched. And then we have some of our more younger hardcovers that we've read as well. Back on top of the ladder, and we have our tribute to one of my favorite movies of all time, Hocus Pocus. So, of course, these are the dolls down behind here, but I didn't have enough space to kind of open this up. But you can kind of see what they look like there, matching up with their minifigs from Lego, because we did get the set. You can see inside here, there is more on the inside. It was like a full build, took forever to build, but absolutely loved that one. So I have that one there. Down below, we have some of our mass market paperbacks that I've picked up on sale that just sounded interesting. Our most recent Lego build that we got. I did end up changing out the minifig from the one that was in the video for this one. This was one that my husband and my son kind of designed to look like mommy. So this is mommy sitting in her library. So of course we put that up here. And then I have my Cassandra Clare Shadow Hunters. And then the Ragpicker King series started here. I really did enjoy Infernal Devices, and I started reading the City of Bones series. And so we're just going through that because I really do like the Shadowhunter world. I thought it was really good. So next up, we have, these are all books that I haven't read. I should have said that on this one. I have read City of Bones, but everything else on these shelves, I basically haven't read. These are kind of my TBR shelves. So if you see one that looks good to you that I haven't picked up yet and you want me to get to it a little bit quicker, then let me know, because, you know, moods and if they fit requirements for challenges, and that's kind of where we go with this. But these are all my more paperback ones that I have on my TBR shelves. These were more of the fantasy, romantasy, dark, you know, kind of fae worlds and things, and maybe some sci-fi mixed in, followed by a very small section of more of our contemporary historical romance and fictions, onto some of the bigger series that I have yet to tackle. And then down below that we have, this is kind of my cinema shelf. These are basically all books that have been turned into movies at some point that I want to get through, where I have either seen the movie a long time ago and now I just want to read the book and then see how it differs, or I have yet to watch the movie and I kind of want to read the books before I do the movies. I do have Gone with the Wind. I do live near where there are some museums with Gone with the Wind material, so I would love to finish reading this one and then go to one of those museums and just kind of celebrate this movie. It's my mom's absolute favorite, and it stands for a lot of, I know there's a lot of controversy with it, but there's a lot of good things that came out of, especially the movie of this. So that I can kind of talk about when I do eventually get to go and do that video. Down below, we do have one of my kiddos took Toothless, and one of my more kind of, my son collects Hot Wheels, so every once in a while I will see a Hot Wheels that I just think is really pretty and get one of those. So one of my sons had taken that and kind of played with it, and it has now ended up on our bottom shelf here. I'm sure it will move around as time goes on. This is kind of my historical fiction, mystery, suspense shelf. We have Dan Brown. I have read, I have read all of these. Just didn't have a lot of space on the other shelves for them. They probably will shift once I've finished all of them. I think I have these two to go. And then this is Steve Barry's Cotton Malone series, which I became a huge fan of. Very similar to the Da Vinci Code series, but each book deals with a different historical scenario. So I've just been collecting these books when I come across them. So once I get the whole series, I will read that, because I've read a few of them, but they were all out of order and loved them. Been a long time. So once I get them, I will kind of go through that series, because there are quite a few. And then just kind of going on, looks like there was a break. Like I said, kiddos playing with stuff. And this was another book that just kind of drew my attention with the same kind of themes. So last up on this side, we had seen Hocus Pocus. We continue on to the Addams Family. Huge Addams Family fan. Watched the old black and white when, oh yeah, I just realized you can see my reflection. Hello. I watched the old black and white of the Addams Family when it was on like Saturday night, like Snicks or Nick at Night, I'm sorry. And I just loved it. And I've been a fan of the Addams Family. My favorite Morticia and Gomez will always be Angelica Huston and Raul Julia. And Christina Ricci will always be my Wednesday, but that's from my generation. I do watch the new Wednesday series. Love it. But I am partial to the 90s. Addams Family, because it's what I grew up with. So you have my nice little witchy cauldron here that I might use in future videos for something, I'm not sure yet. And we have our Haunted Mansion Lego build. I did another video for this showing the build of it, But Haunted Mansion is one of my favorite Disney rides of all time. So, of course, I had to have this. And of course, my Dia de los Muertos doll. You have probably seen her in a few. Once Halloween season pops up, she was always decorating my shelves. So she is up here as well. On our next shelf, we have my Brothers Grimm collection, along with some of my box sets. So I have the All Souls trilogy. Have not read it yet. I watched the first season of the show, and then I stopped because I wanted to read the books before I could continue with the show. But I really liked the show, so definitely want to get the books underway. One of my lovely unicorns here, and then of course the Serpent and Dove paperback that I want to get to as well, because I've heard good things about that series. Then, of course, we are to my T.B.R. shelf of all my hardcover books. Once again, if you see one that you kind of recommend and want to point out, definitely shoot that out in the comments or send me an email, because when I stand here, sometimes I get at a loss for what I want to read. And if I'm not in a mood, I might need some advice on what to pick out. The Kate Moss, I have read these books, but it has been such a long time that I really want to reread them. I thought they were fantastic, as well with the Book of Love. Historical fiction, kind of spiritual fiction, but fantastic, fantastic stories. So I definitely want to get back to those and read those. Down here, we have a little bit more of our unfinished series and some of our historical fiction. I have heard really good things about the Hood series here. It's kind of a historical fiction take on the Robin Hood series, and so really wanted to deal with that and read that one. And then, of course, like I said, these are books that are parts of series I know I want to read, so when I see them on sale, I pick them up and hold on to them. So once I have the whole series, we'll be doing that. Then we have our Pillars of the Earth series. I was a huge fan of the show, loved it. So I definitely wanted to read the books and see how they came across and go from there. Because like I said, I really found the story, and this is basically one of my favorite parts of history, or times in history that I studied in school. I was a history major, so my focus was on around this time in England. So being able to see this kind of brought to life is fantastic. Followed by a few more historical fiction right here. I have read this one as well. I read this for college, but I want to reread it again because it was one of the most fantastic books on the Vietnam War that I have ever read. Highly, highly recommend. Another one on my 100 recommendations that I would recommend if you get to read in your life. It's a play on words because it follows a platoon or unit as they are in Vietnam, all their different backgrounds, kind of how they have to kind of find their friendships and families with one another, all the little mementos and family heirlooms that they've kind of brought with them for luck or for memories that they discuss. So those are kind of the things that they're carrying with them, as well as the physical descriptions of the weights of everything they're carrying, from their packs to their ammo to their weapons to everything. Just very, very well done book. Highly, highly recommend it. So there's that one, but I do want to read that one again. And then we have a few books on Arthurian legend. If you couldn't tell from my Lady of the Lake, I am a fan of King Arthur. I do have other books, but these are ones that I've been really wanting to get to, so that is why they are there. And then down below over here on the last shelf on this side is our kind of biographies. Eleanor of Aquitaine is one of my she is my favorite ruling queen of England, or just my favorite European queen. We should just say that. So we'll go with that. But a few other biographies that I do want to read, followed with some other nonfiction, historical or spiritual kind of fiction works. I have heard really good things about Ted Decker's writing. So I do kind of want to check that out. Then we do have my kind of reading cart here. It's kind of in disarray right now, but right up top here, we have a lot of the books that we're going to be reading for the Reddit Fantasy Challenge, along with some of the books that I want to get to sooner rather than later. So those are kind of on there with what I'm trying to tackle. And onto our last bookshelf. These are all the books that I have purchased recently that I have yet to do a book haul on, which is why You can't see them, but if you know them from the sprayed edges, good for you. Also, shame on you because no spoilers. But yes, these will be getting covered in a future haul video along with, like I said, one of my other unicorn buddies. This is kind of my miscellaneous shelf. We have bookmarks here, bookish stickers here, a book seal stamp here that my dad had got me to kind of stamp inside my books if I wanted to. I don't know yet if I'm going to do that or not. We shall see. This has basically all of my tabs in here to match with my books. And then we have miscellaneous bookmarks and things from events that I have gone to. There are a few keychains in here, as well as underneath some of the bookish art that I've got that eventually I will be getting like some ways to display that here up on the walls for everybody. So that's kind of where it is sitting right now. Next up, the next two shelves are basically everything that is on loan from my mother-in-law. She always brings books that she's read. And our tastes run similar, and then sometimes she finds like a random one that she will recommend to me that I'm like, okay, it's outside my zone, but if she says it's good, I'm like, chances are it's probably really interesting. So these are all the books that I have borrowed from her that I have yet to get through. Followed by our lowest shelf here. This is kind of a tribute to my kiddos. They wanted a shelf in here. So these are all the books that I have been collecting that are kind of your middle grade to early YA. We have ones like My Neighbor Totoro that I've obviously loved the movie. We are huge on Miyazaki in here. We also have Paranorman, which we were excited because we just watched that one recently and the kids loved it. But we have a few miscellaneous ones that I will be collecting this series for as well. But like I said, if I see it on sale and it's a series I want to go after, we're going to get it. These are some of the historical fiction I want them to kind of read later on. Letters from Rivka I read as a kid. Absolutely loved it. Highly recommend it. Story of a young girl immigrating with her family to America. And she basically is coming down with an illness and she is kind of stuck on Ellis Island while she's sick, and it's just kind of her story there as she's healing to be able to be reunited with her family as well as the people that she meets on Ellis Island that have their stories of why they're coming to America as well. So I highly recommend it. I thought it was a great story. And then, of course, the Harry Potter series. I know there's a lot of controversy with that as well, but for me, it is still a fantastic world that was created with great storytelling, great characters. So it is something that I do want to read with my kids. I used to have the whole series and I ended up giving it away at some point for whatever crazy reason. So now I am trying to go when I go to like discount shops and if I see them, I will pick one up. We got a few more years before we tackle that one, but at least we will have it when we need it. So yeah.
And so that, my friends, is the end of my shelf tour. I hope you enjoyed it. There is, as you can see, plenty of extra space to build into, lots of room for adding some great books. So if there is a great book that is not on my shelf that you really think I need to take a look at, let me know in the comments below. Also, if there was a book on here or on my shelves that you saw that I haven't got to yet and you think I should maybe bump it up on the list and get to it sooner rather than later, drop me a comment down below. I am more than happy to kind of take a look at those and bump them up. If you guys are seeing one that you're like, I can't believe she hasn't read this yet, let me know so I can read it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys found some books that you love, that maybe you're sitting on your shelves at home and just had fun taking the tour with me. But other than that, I hope you guys are doing well. Stay warm, stay cool, stay safe, stay hydrated, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in the next video.